There are a couple other things that I'd like to point out on the exterior of this crate as well that's important. So first of all, where the cap has some flexibility, we add gussets. And you'll notice this gusset is not just a 45-degree angle. It's actually made to fit properly in the cleats of the crate. So it looks nice, has a consistent nailing pattern that makes it durable and work functionally, and it has a very good form and function. In addition, versus the industry, we've upgraded a lot of our hardware. So whereas many of our competitors will use just drywall screws or use lag screws or even carriage bolts, we've worked with engineers and added some structural fasteners from Simpson Strong Tie. So we have a connector screw and a timber screw or timber screws that work well. So even though these are only about 5/16 of an inch in diameter, they're rated the equivalent of a 5/8 inch lag screw. So they're very strong. They're guaranteed to work. They don't break. They're reusable. They go in and out. And so this whole cap system could be removed for recycling or other purposes, or for changing things out as a customer might want to do. So in addition, they're flush, so they don't get sheared off. They don't break. They go in very easily with tools. You don't need to pre-drill holes for them. They go in very well. And then finally, all these crates have a rear hatch door to make it easier to remove the rack system when it's coming out. So with one person there receiving it on the ramp, one person can push and get it started, and no additional hardware or anything is required, and the cap doesn't need to be removed necessarily to be able to get the crates in and out. So we found that this design is on average 6 times faster to load and unload than a typical crate that requires tools in our industry. I'd like to show you just one other additional innovation that we're starting to roll out now, and that's what we call and we're going to patent this, is a cartridge system to extend the life of these crates. So what we find is our customers would like to use them only 5 times to guarantee that the foam is going to work functionally. Could be used a little longer, but that's what our customers feel comfortable with. And the caps here, this part's called the cap, and the ramps even, generally don't wear out as quickly, so they can last longer. In addition, sometimes our customers configure their rack crates with different size components or different types of componentry, which will have different weights, and so they require a different floater system. So we've developed what we call a cartridge system where, we can just leave it like that maybe, where the entire floater base comes out, again, without tools, although we could put a couple screws in if required, but everything fits precisely and comes in and out. So 2 things can happen. One is this entire cap and ramp could be reused and get an additional 5 uses with a minimal investment, maybe up to half the cost of a new crate, get 5 additional uses. So for 1.5 times the cost of a crate, you can get 10 uses out of it. The cost per trip would be much lower than the cost of a fully used one-time crate. In addition, if you have racks that have different weight characteristics, we can design different types, and we have designed different types of cartridges and color code them or label them for different types of weights that can then be swapped out depending what it is that you're shipping to your customer. By the way, I should note that on this particular ramp, these angular ramp supports, and there's some handles so it can be handled fairly easily. Again, tucks in, and this is a compact type of package where all the supports on the inside, so there's nothing protruding. Now you can see that this particular crate design is made to encase the rack system, the IT rack, without a lot of movement, a lot of airspace. And they ship very well in the trucks, but what we're also doing is we're starting to put some foam blocking on the outside to make sure that they're easier to secure in the truck. So you might ask, you noticed on this external floater, we have a hinge design for the ramp, and this one isn't. And some of our competitors will actually hinge the ramp to this floater base, and that is actually a no-no in the industry because then there's a fixed point on this cushioning, and the cushioning system will not work properly. So that's why on an internal floater, crate design, we generally don't use a hinged ramp. We would have a loose ramp. And then just finally, you're looking at all the tools. You're looking at all the tools I may need to load and unload a rack in my toolless rack crate. And then over here, this is an example of everything that I need or partially need to load a traditional rack crate or a corrugated. So, there are going to be brackets, there are bolts, oftentimes they're more expensive bolts, they're cap screws, things like that. I'm going to need an impact wrench, different size bits for it. As these ship around, sometimes they get lost. I need to keep extras. The corrugated is going to need to be stretch wrapped at some point, possibly some microfoam, bags as well. And then, I need to have a strapping cart, strapping tools, things like that. So that's one of the reasons, or many of the reasons, why it takes 6 times longer to load a traditional rack crate than one of Larson Packaging Company's toolless rack crates.